So YouTube has a pretty big problem as far as like free speech and freedom of press, basically. And I'm going to show you guys something here real quick that's going to kind of hopefully show you guys what I'm talking about. So let me make sure I got this right here. I do. Okay. So these are the videos that I just uploaded. They're on the Wuhan virus infection and why 90,000 infected and having 56 deaths is a lot better than having 2,000 infected and having 56 deaths. Percentage-wise, it means that it's not as bad an epidemic. Now, the next one is it will be Trump versus Sanders, and I think Trump would win. Now, my videos, I mean, without fail, pretty much about 99% of the time, will have this right here, which is limited. Now, limited means that it also gets less exposure. Not just that it gets limited ads, but it gets less exposure as well. And my experience so far is this, that they limit the exposure and they limit the ads until they have gotten to the point where all the viewers that are going to see it for the most part have already seen it. And then they come back 5, 6, 7 days later and they say, well, our algorithm must have made a mistake. Manual review says that it is okay. And then ones that are, involve anything that go against YouTube's narrative, they remain limited, which means they don't show up in searches, they don't show up in things like that. Now let's make sure I do this right here. So you can help me with this by just having some sort of engagement. But there's a little bit more that you need to be aware of why this is an important issue. Imagine a world in which you can't speak about things, in which there are certain things that are taboo, that you can't speak about, that you cannot mention, that you can't even report upon. And then something drastic happens, but nobody can say anything. Well, in darkness is where bad ideas propagate. You see, bad ideas are like bacteria. In dark, cool places, that's where it will grow. If you add a little bit of sunlight to it, bad ideas shed. They get killed. Because as a whole, when we're allowed to look at things and look at ideas and look at policies and look at what people are saying about things, and as a whole, we're allowed to say, hey, here's what I believe, and I believe this is a bad idea, bad ideas tend to go by the wayside. They tend to die. You don't open up a newspaper and see job openings now hiring cult member number 746. Apply at 41101 Beachfront Avenue, Bush number 2. You just don't see that. It's in a basement, it's hidden, and you don't hear about it in the news until it's a big enough problem that it's a problem. But if we handle these ideas when they're small, when we see these things that are going on that don't make sense, and we as a group, as the internet, as a YouTube community, as human beings, as citizens of this world get together and say, hey, you know what? This is wrong. This is what's going on in the world. This is my opinion. What is your opinion? Wow, your opinion is totally different than mine. Why do you have that opinion? Oh, that's some pretty good evidence. You know what? I think possibly I was wrong in that, and following this cult over here might have been a bad idea. Thank you for letting me know that that may have been a bad idea. But in the dark, okay, cult members and people who have that enthusiasm and that charisma, they propagate. They get followers. And there's nobody there to counteract the followers and tell the followers, hey, you know what? Does that really actually make sense? Think about it for a second. You're telling me that your leader wants you to put a paper bag on your head, tie some rocks to your ankles, and then walk into this river, and if you're allowed to float, then you are like some super level in this thing. Does that make sense to you? Come on, think about it just a little bit here. But no. If they only live in an echo chamber and they hear everybody else in the cult and they hear this, they hear this, they hear this. It's human nature, man. That's why people act differently in big groups. And that's why people act differently in big groups when there's a camera around, because it's human nature. It just is. But YouTube stifles us and it puts a finger on it and it says, hey, We're not going to let you talk about this subject. We're not going to let you do this. We're not going to let your channel grow. We're not going to let people see your opinion. We're not going to let people give their opinion on your ideas. And it's a slippery road because freedom is not free. I mean, little things. Here's one for you. Boys, this video is going to be demonetized. Hitler. Okay. What did Hitler say about freedom? What did Hitler himself say about whittling away freedoms? You see, we've got to learn about the bad people too, because that's how we prevent bad things from happening in the future. Hitler said, if you want to take away freedoms, you can't do it like in a big lump sum. And I'm not going verbatim, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me. I could look it up, but I know what he said, and I'm going to paraphrase it for you. He said basically you cannot go in there and jerk away the freedoms because everybody will notice. You whittle away the freedoms little bit by little bit, a tiny bit by a tiny bit, a little bit here and a little bit there. It's like boiling a frog. People always misunderstand what it means. Yes, you can throw a frog in a pot and it's boiling and the frog's going to jump out immediately because, well, it's boiling. But you can put a frog in lukewarm water and bring the temperature slowly up and boil the frog. Now, a lot of people think it's because the frog doesn't notice it's being boiled, but that's not what it is. It's that by the time the water gets boiling, it's already too late. The frog physically cannot move. When you're in a sauna for a long time and you sit there too long, your blood pressure goes up and you get to a point where you get sluggish and you can't move. That's why they say 15 minutes, I think, is like the maximum they suggest or something. Maybe it's 5 minutes. I don't remember. Don't take what I said. There's a time limit that they generally have. But if you bring up the temperature slowly and the frog is sitting there and it slowly starts to get sluggish and its blood pressure goes up and it can't move and it gets sluggish, there comes a point where it knows it's being boiling. It knows. It feels the pain. But it's too late. The water is already too hot. The damage is done. It physically cannot move. And our rights are the same way. If we whittle our rights down, there comes a point when we look back and we're like, wow, you know what? We had this big, huge block of cheese of rights. And now we've got all these crumbs laying all the way back to there. And we cannot form that block of cheese again. And YouTube is a perfect example. But you guys can help by giving me some engagement, thumbs up, subscribe, a like. If you dislike what I say, tell me what you dislike. Even if it's something like, hey man, you need to really work on the video quality. Yeah, I know, I do. I need to get better equipment. My computer's a dinosaur. It can't handle it. But I trudge on anyways because the channel has to be self-sufficient. The channel has to be able to pay for a camera because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Does that make sense to you? I mean, does it? And engagement. It helps me get more views, and that's the big thing. That's what stifles channels, is the fact that when it's hit for limited ads, it's limited views as well. And political channels, well, they're one of the hardest channels to grow on YouTube because YouTube really does not like other people's opinions. But you are the community. You are YouTube. You are the bosses. You guys are the ones that run this whole shebang. You guys have the power. And so all I'm asking is a thumbs up. A subscribe would be fan-frickin-tastic. And if you guys want stories, if you got a story and you got a lead, send me an email. Description's in the thing below. And as I grow, you'll grow, and the channel will grow, and things will get better as we go on. But we can't let YouTube dictate to us what we're allowed to think and what we're allowed to talk about. That's just counterproductive. That takes us backwards, not forwards. The internet and the YouTube is a great power. It's a wonderful power. It's perhaps the greatest weapon ever invented. And you guys run it. You guys control it. That's what I got on this one. I don't want to rant too long. It's just so frustrating to sit there and hours and hours and hours on end look at multiple sources of news and try to report on the news because I care about things and I care about what people think because we're all in this together. And the better all of us are informed, the better decisions we can make and the better the country is as a whole because our decisions decide where money goes, where programs are, what programs are decided, who makes the decisions and things like that. And that's uber important for all of us and for future generations. Not just our children, but our children's children. The policies that we put into place today, they affect everybody for generations to come. So we've got to be informed, and we've got to be informed in a good way, in an unbiased manner, and in a matter-of-fact way where even bad ideas, even the worst ideas in the world are allowed to come forward and have people give their opinions like, wait, what? No. This is a bad idea. And then those bad ideas die. Those YouTube channels die. That's what I got. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.